Alright, guys. Well, sorry for all the technical difficulties, It's like, I'm using this Riverside software now, and it's like I'm trying to get up, have some time in the morning to record, and then it's like, oh, but now it's on this other screen, and I don't know how to, I haven't really had a lot of time to really navigate through this stuff because I've been busy after work. Busy before work. So trying to get in a good amount of learning stuff and a good amount of, today I've got to exercise. Yesterday I skipped. I was like, I can skip a day a week. So I skipped Tuesday. So I'm gonna have to work out on my breaks today, which is fine. Wednesdays are a day that I watch a show with my mom. I try to watch a show once a week. So we're gonna watch Skinwalker Ranch, and then so that's gonna take about an hour out of my evening. And then I've got a doctor's appointment for 30 minutes. So an hour and a half of just other stuff. Maybe a little less than an hour watching that show because we can skip the commercials and stuff. But yeah, time flies, I'm working an 8:30 to 5 shift, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. So time flies. I need to go and get my phone battery replaced, but it sounds like today after work I'm already going to have quite a few things to do, so I might have to leave that to Thursday. I've got to figure out an outfit for a wedding this weekend, and I've got to order a couple things, so because I'm going to be out of town Friday, Saturday, Sunday, coming back Monday, so I need to order some things, likely Amazon Prime, make sure they get here before I head out on Friday evening. I'll probably head out around 6 on Friday, 6 p.m. But yeah, let's get into this, because that is kind of just a ramble. So, yesterday, I guess, not last night technically, but yesterday I came across this, YouTube channel. I was just scrolling in the morning to see what was recommended to me, because I was like, I want something wholesome, but I don't know exactly. I don't have anything on my mind specifically, that I want. And so basically what I did was I just was like, okay, I'll just scroll and see what kind of pops up. And there was this YouTube channel. No joke. It's called Jesus Son of Mary Center. Jesus Son of Mary Center. And this place is considered a masjid. It's a Muslim place of worship and place of study, like an educational center. I think they've got some kind of playground or sports center type thing too. I was looking at their website, but I was at first I was like, okay, it's not uncommon for, places to share a place of worship, for sites to share, I was raised in an Adventist church that a lot of times they shared services with other Adventist churches, or with a Baptist church. They would use the church Sundays, we would use it Saturdays. And even though it's still the Christian religion, I was like, okay, maybe it's a Christian church that rents out to Muslims. Because, the name being Jesus Son of Mary Center, and it's in Tampa, Florida, I was like, I don't know. I mean, Muslims believe in Jesus and Mary. They don't call Jesus Jesus. They don't call Mary Mary. But I don't know. Maybe they call Mary Mary. But I think Jesus is called is Esau? I can't remember, honestly. Don't take my word for that. But it's an interesting situation going on with that. I was like, okay, that's a very interesting name. And I guess what caught my attention is there was a light-skinned young guy kind of providing the sermon. It was the Friday service, so they do a Friday service. And I'll put the link. It's a video of this guy, I guess they pray in the beginning, or they do the call to prayer. It's all audio at the beginning, and then it cuts into a video once he starts the speech, the talk, the sermon, whatever you call it, the teaching part. I listened to it in the morning, and I was kind of like, okay, it was nice, it was wholesome. But I was multitasking. I was setting up my computer for work. I was, caffeinating, hydrating, kind of doing other stuff. And I was like, I kind of wanted to actually listen to it. And it was only like 34, 35, 30-something minutes long. So last night I was like, let me, because the night before I didn't have enough time to study. And it was getting late. And I was like, man, like, I ran out of time again. So last night was probably the first time in a while, I had not really screens off, but I just shut off what I was watching on YouTube that was like just some entertainment stuff. And it was probably like 7:30, 7:45. It was before 8 p.m. Just a little bit before 8 p.m. And I shut it off and turned back on that video. I was like, let me watch it. Took some notes. So the notes I took, basically, and you can listen to it if you want to, and I don't know if I have the spelling right. There's some terminology that I'm trying to get. I don't know what an ayah is. I don't know what a hadith is. I think it has something to do with the Quran, with like either like chapters or verses or teachings or stories or something. I know a surah is like a book, like one of the full books, of not the full Quran, but like a full book, like surah this, surah that. Like that's kind of how they label. It would be equivalent to having like Genesis, Exodus. Like that's kind of how I would explain that. But I think ayah and hadith have something to do with what's in the Quran. Now, I am not even looking this stuff up, so go look it up yourself. Don't take my word for any of this. He was talking about these two terms called taqwa and siduk. I don't know if it's spelled with D's or R's, or if there's a W in there with taqwa. I think he said taqwa is God consciousness, and siduk is a type of truthfulness or integrity. And he said something about, it sounded like Surah Tubukura. I don't know if that's what it's called. I never looked it up, but that's what it sounded like. There was a section he was talking about called the believer, the way to be a believer and the best practices, about truthfulness. And basically had these 4 points that there's an internal aspect, which is the heart, and the conduct. Those are connected. So you can tell by a person's behaviors and actions if their heart is kind of like maybe healthy, or in a good, if they're in a good mindset, in a good healthy place in their life, by their conduct. Those things are connected. So if a person is running around scheming and scamming and lying and, cussing people out, you could maybe assume something versus a different person, or maybe even the same person on a different day, who, if they're being charitable and, giving of their time and energy and going out of their way to do kind gestures or say just a kind word to somebody, or compliment somebody, just to make somebody feel nice, versus like someone taking out their anger on people. Those are different types of conduct. And, I've experienced something like that. I've been at even church events where I've been like in a bitter mood and just like, I don't even know what I was mad about or upset about. And I didn't really realize that it was coming across that way. But, I mean, other people noticed. And he talked about repenting of emotional issues, like repenting of things that are done wrong, being sincere with intentions, having sincere intentions when people are doing things with like a form of like humility, with a form of, being like humble and not like bragging or boasting, and keeping company with people who are also truthful people, who aren't scheming and lying and trying to like get over on people, being truthful in speech. And he didn't really talk much about taqwa, so I just left that term there, and I put the YouTube link. But it's an interesting concept because it's like, it's easy to find things in life where it's just hard, to have that high level of integrity, especially if it's like, I'm not gonna get caught, nothing's gonna go wrong, nothing's gonna happen. At my old workplace, they kind of just left us to work, and I think there was a certain point where they realized, some of the phone bills that we use for the work phones didn't really come back with any calls on them, or and they were like, are you guys making the calls? Because the notes seem to say that you are. And I don't know if people got in trouble that, there was some kind of activity going on where maybe people weren't fully making the calls and they were just documenting that they were. I mean, it's easy to get overwhelmed at work and be like, well, I can just do this way and nobody's really gonna know. And just it's good to have the integrity. Now, why would somebody even not make the calls? I mean, maybe it's because the job is too high demand, too stressful for too little pay. Maybe somebody decided to take a second job because they needed that extra money and they really needed the money, and they're like, well, I need this. Maybe it is a necessity. And they haven't figured a better method out that's actually like a truthful method. I run into, there are people at my work that I don't want to call. I have clients that are just completely outraged when I call them, and I have to call them twice a week, and they don't want me calling them, but they also don't want to cancel the services, but they want to yell at me when I call. It would be easy to just be like, I called, they didn't answer, or left a voicemail or whatever, or to type in the wrong number and be like, oh, like I accidentally typed the wrong number and then they didn't answer, and it was the wrong person. It would be easy to do something like that. It's a very tempting thing, versus get yelled at by somebody and have your day get kind of messed up over it. There's simple things, it's not, it doesn't mean like I don't want to work or I'm not trying to work. It's like, well, maybe I don't like dealing with people with emotional issues screaming at me, that affects me negatively. Maybe I don't really want to deal with that. And then the job kind of forces you to deal with it. And then it's like, okay, do you really want to come to your boss and be like, I don't want to talk to this client anymore? How do we problem solve this? And it's like, I'm busy. I've got stuff on the list that I need to do on my calendar. I don't want to be in like a 2.5 hour meeting with my boss trying to problem solve this thing, and then now they're sitting on the line with me like screening how I make my calls and like critiquing all this. It's like, I wasn't trying to get into all this. I just wanted you to transfer the client to some other staff, or you talk to them. I don't want to talk to them, so sometimes there really isn't an easy solution, and we feel like we're kind of like trapped in a box of like, okay, like I want to be truthful and have very high integrity and practice honesty and not be doing shifty little things but it's like at the same time, it's like, well, I do have to protect myself and my own emotional well-being and not come out of a shift being like, I want to quit, you know, because of having to deal with things that are too demanding for the energy that I maybe don't have, you know, and that's a real thing. So, keeping it short today. I would like to talk a lot longer, actually. I have a lot more to say on this, but for now, because I started late and I've got to eat breakfast and I've got eggs boiling on the stove that have been on there probably an extra 10 minutes by now, because I didn't want to stop my train of thought with this recording. I'm going to stop this recording for now and kind of get on with the morning, but I'm gonna, once I get around to posting, because I have not posted any of the stuff I've recorded this week, I need to get around to posting, and once I do that, and once I figure it out, you guys will see the episodes. And so I don't know if you guys like this kind of stuff. If you do, I'll post more. It's a short one. I prefer recording longer stuff, honestly, but I just don't have the time for it this morning. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for listening.